Well, good morning. Good morning. I want to talk about $1 million conversations. The Bible says that thou shalt decree a thing. That means to state, establish, and that can either be verbally or mentally. Thou shalt decree a thing. It shall then be established unto you, and it will accomplish that to where it had been sent. This is Sir Dr. James Ditley here, and I want to talk about $1 million conversations. Why? Because I want to move us from having deflating conversations that actually drain your bank account and drain your life account, your time account, your emotional account. So why not just flip it and have $1 million conversations? And then move on to even $1 billion conversations. You can talk about whatever you like because that is the decision that you get to make. First and foremost, success in business and life often it comes down to the quality of your conversations. Those $1 million conversations aren't just about making money, it's about creating value, creating opportunity, building powerful relationships, and really unlocking the door that leads to massive success. At the core, of these conversations, they're very intentional. My wife in her book talks a lot about being intentional in what it is that you do. They're very strategic, and most importantly, value driven. It's all about creating value. Solve problems, fill a need. Solve the problem, fill a need. And that's really how you create wealth, solving a problem, filling a need, even if people don't know the problem exists yet. If you can get ahead of the curve for something that you know is going to come. So whether you're negotiating maybe a high stakes business deal, pitching to an investor, networking with influential people, your words should always position you. Those words should position you with a sense of purpose. Yeah, yeah. Every interaction should be purposeful and the aim should be to educate, to inspire, to persuade. Mm. That word inspire is a very powerful word. You notice I didn't say motivate. Now, the play on words and semantics, they're pretty much the same thing, but to motivate is to drive, inspire is to draw, to pull you in. So having those $1 million conversations should pull people in. So don't be lazy in your language. Study to show yourself approved. Study the things that you want to talk about, the things you want to manifest. Study people who have them. And most importantly, pay very close attention to the challenges they had along the way. Because to become a fisherman of opportunity, a fisherman of men, women, boys, and girls, fishermen, first of all, have patience. To fish, you have to have patience because fish, they travel in schools. And when you begin to have $1 million conversations, you'll see they'll be coming towards you in schools because Tobler's law states that things that are the most like itself are closer than things that are not. That's why bad luck comes and grows. Is one thing after another. The same thing with wealth in every area of your life when you have those $1 million conversations. So, the key to mastering these conversations is confidence and preparation. Be prepared. You must deeply understand your industry. Study, again, study to show yourself approved. The needs of your audience, whether it's one, two, or 10,000, and how do you communicate your value proposition effectively? That's really the key. This means not just talking, but also active listening. Remember, 57% of communication is nonverbal. Learn to listen from your body, learn to read with all of your senses, understand what other people want, and align your message to those goals. In the book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey says, first seek to understand before being understood. Questions are a great way to accomplish that goal. We call it ask and show. Sometimes when I'm talking to people, even on an elevator pitch, and people say, hey, what do you do? And I can start off by posing it as a question. You know how some people are struggling when it comes to interpersonal relationships, business relationships, or really internal relationships and conversations of how to monetize their dream. Well, what I do is help people move through that and become fully self-expressed, to learn how to become powerful in their language, thus opening up the door for opportunities. That can be one way to do it. So what do you do? Well, you know how some people have a challenging day in life with this. Well, what I do is this. You turn it to solving the problem and position yourself as the expert in solving it. Your body language and your tone will play a very crucial role. When I'm training my speakers, we even talk about how do you breathe. Breathing is everything. I was a martial artist for 13 years. And, to meditate, to calm down, to still the spirit. To do that is to lock in and to channel everything, to become in agreement with nature itself. That's going to help you in your conversations because you can slow it down and now you can be present. How you present yourself really can make or break a conversation before a word is even spoken. Strong eye contact. I remember years ago, I was doing a presentation back in 1994. I was at my mother's house talking to one of the good friends from our church. I think she's the babysitter. Excuse me. She's the babysitter. And when at the end of the conversation, the woman left, and my mother pulled me to the side and said, "You got to make eye contact. If you don't make eye contact, people won't trust you." Now, that doesn't mean you stare down. That means you learn to become present. That's why I teach in my course, Inspired to Speak, something called Being With, how to be present with another human being. Not to stare at you, but to let you see me and be okay being there. A lot of people feel like very uncomfortable because they feel like people are in their personal space, but the world is your oyster. So therefore, you have plenty of space. Be present. Be still. Don't be afraid to let them see you. And don't be afraid to relax and see them from the inside out. Yeah. Strong eye contact, a firm handshake. Oh, I cannot stand. You ever had someone shake your hand and they shake it all limp? I hate, especially when men do that. And you don't have to squeeze the hand and get in the ego lane, but you want to have a firm handshake with a man or a woman. A poised and relaxed demeanor instantly it sets the stage for respect and engagement. Yeah. Smile with your eyes, smile with your face, not flirtatiously, but just to smile, to be pleasant, be approachable. Because the one thing you're going to learn when you're having these $1 million conversations and even above $1 million conversations, that everyone is approachable. Everyone. Another essential element is really asking the right questions. The best deal makers don't just sell, they inquire. Don't sell, inquire. A person's favorite topic is themselves. Get people to talk about themselves. That makes uh, them feel like they're important to you because they are. Even a stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. When you uncover the pain points and you identify challenges, the challenges they have right now by asking things like, "What is your biggest challenge right now?" And then position yourself as the perfect solution. And if you're not the solution, perhaps within your network, within your community, someone around you has a solution that also brings value right back to you. So the question is, what is your biggest challenge right now? I'll ask you, what's your biggest challenge right now? Or how can I help you achieve your next goal? How can I serve you? Shift the conversations from transactional to transformational. Make it a relationship driven conversation. And ultimately, $1 million conversations are about relationships, not transactions. The right words, the right time can turn a single chat into a life changing opportunity. Do you know mastering these conversations means consistently bringing value? Become a value creator. As a matter of fact, say it right now. Say, "I am a value creator." Bringing value, making meaningful connections, and positioning yourself as someone who deserves a seat at the table where the big decisions are made. You know, I was part of a mastermind called the Board of Advisors. Shout out to Michael and the incredible team. And I loved it there. I loved the culture and what they put together. But when the day I walked in, I always wanted to give value. There was a gentleman that we became great friends to this day, and it was during COVID. So he came in virtually, and I was at the actual event in Sarasota, Florida, at I believe it's the Westin Hotel. And he was talking about his book, and part of the proceeds were going to go to charity. It was my first or second time being at that mastermind. Immediately, I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'll buy a case of books," because I wanted to get those books out to bring value to him, to his cause. And you know what? It's so interesting. I did it because I felt it in my spirit. And I forgot when I finally met this gentleman that that was the same person. Later, we built a relationship, and now he is an actual Knight of the Royal Order. He's taken four companies public, a wonderful man, philanthropic heart, very intelligent, very giving, and very wise, and a person I actually go to the council. And that relationship was forged, and we're friends for life, but it's forged because I wanted to give value to his opportunity. Now, it's not always about spending your money, but it is about creating value where you can, because it's not always about money. Sometimes it's about the time. But in that board of advisors, when people would talk for 18 minutes about what they do and they had an ask and a give, what do you need to move forward? And if you want to offer something to the group, what do you have to offer? And I always, because of the relationships that I always created, I always was able, I would say 90% of the time, to respond and say, I know a person that can help you with that. Or perhaps you can try this. Or I've seen that before. Study and show yourself approved. Become well read. Invest in yourself and get to as many events as you can. You'll learn something everywhere you go. And, everyone you meet is so important because ultimately they can be a great example or even a terrible reminder. Yeah. They will inspire you. Hey, I want to position myself like that. A gentleman named Greg Provenzano. He is the president of a company called ACM, one of my early mentors, and I would say a great friend. And the thing I learned from Greg was this: when he came off of a stage, it may be hundreds of people surrounding him, and it might be tens of thousands of people in the audience. But if he was talking to you, he was present with you. And the other 299 people trying to get his attention, he never broke his gaze from you. His breathing was still. And when he was talking, he was present with you. Adoration. He let you know that you were important. Do you know the greatest need of a human being is one of significance? Why am I here? Does my life even count? To have million-dollar conversations, create value for other people and get good at it. Listen, become likable, become a resource, build out your network, your community where whatever you can do, you know a person who can or know a person who knows someone who can. Because there's 6 degrees of separation, but with the internet, it's really kind of down to three. You can touch anybody now through three interactions. So, $1 million conversations is going to start off by bringing value. And that value is going to stem from the way that you choose to think. Think big. There is no magic in small dreams. It takes no more effort to think really big than to think really small. My final thought is this. You know, in 1991, I had moved to Atlanta, Georgia, pretty much starting my life all over again. I've been very successful as far as owning nightclubs and restaurants, real estate, import, export. But I had hit a wall and all these things were gone. And I moved to Atlanta, starting my life all over again, going to get a job. And now I'm like 33 years of age. Now, I used to manage restaurants at 18, but now I'm 33 and I'm sending out resumes to get hired to do something I mastered when I was 18, 19, and 20. 17 interviews later, I finally got hired. I had given up or said I'd given up on being an entrepreneur. It was so hard. I lost my life savings not one time, but twice. But I had a friend named Carl who lived in Atlanta. He always lived well. He always had money. He was always classy. In his home, he had the big $20,000 paintings and $40,000 paintings. We would go out to a restaurant, have a cocktail. He would drink Louis the 13th at $85 for a shot. And this is in the 80s, okay? But he was always kind. I always felt comfortable around him. He never made me feel as though I was less than. We were friends. So I went to him one day and I had this great idea. The entrepreneur spirit does never leaves you, right? And I went to him, I said, Carl, I got a great idea. He said, well, what is it? I said, I'm going to make $1 million. He looked at me with a very comfortable glaze and he said, just one. I never thought small again. Now I have $1 billion conversations. Do you know in the next 3 to 4 years, I really believe we'll have actual people in the United States that would be worth over $1 trillion. So start off with having those $1 million conversations of value that bring joy, that solve a problem, and fill a need. That's all I have this time for you. And I want you to go out there with love and raise the level and the vibration of the conversation that you have. And know that it's not just when you're talking, it's how you position in your spirit, how you position inside of yourself, that you are part of everything in the universe. And there's more than enough for everyone to have more than enough. And there'll still be more than enough left. So attack your lack, or the lack will attack you. No conversations about bills or pressure or financial strife, but bills that inspire and open up the door for opportunities. We talk about the law of attraction. First, there is the law of awareness, because what you'll find, the things you need are closer to you than you think. That's the end of Titan Tuesday, $1 million Conversations. Whew. Have a wonderful day.